All right, so we'll say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Looking forward to entering into this time that we're going to be entering into soon. Before we get started, I want us to look at a couple of scriptures. Let's look at Leviticus 18.
Obama wouldn't like you to read that.
I'm reading it for his benefit. I'm sure he's watching.
You know he's a Christian.
I heard that rumor going around. I'm not sure if he is or not. They say you'll know them by their fruit. But 18:22 says you are not to go to bed with a man as with a woman. It is an abomination. Would we all agree that if God says it is an abomination, it is an abomination?
Right.
Go to Leviticus 20 and verse 13. He just kind of repeats what we just read. Says, if a man goes to bed with a man as with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. Everybody see that? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7. Verse 25. It says, you are to burn up completely the carved statues of their gods. Don't be greedy for the silver or the gold on them. Don't take it with you, or you will be trapped by it. The King James says, ensnared by it. For it is abhorrent to Adonai your God. So could we agree that what he's saying here is don't have anything to do with these images, these idols, these gods, that these other nations that he's pretty much driving out before his people. He's saying here don't have anything to do with them because even this, it is still an abomination to God. Are we all on the same page?
Right.
If God says it's an abomination, it is an abomination. And then let's go back to
it says don't even take it for yourself.
I think
so that's after it has been dedicated to this idol.
Yes.
It's still evil. Even if you melt it down, don't take it for yourself.
Once God says it's unclean, once God says it's an abomination, once God says it's wicked, it's evil, no matter how hard you try, you can't make anything that God says is an abomination anything but an abomination. Can we all agree on that?
Amen.
Let's go to Leviticus chapter 20 and verse 23. This is not scripture. Okay, yes. Verse 23 says, do not live by the regulations of the nation which I am expelling ahead of you, because they did all these things. All these things are the things that God has told his people over and over and over again, do not do. They are an abomination. He goes, these nations done it anyways, which is why I detested them. Everybody see that? No matter what translation or version you're looking at. So the reason that God says, I'm driving these nations out, is because they done what I called an abomination. Don't you do it. Don't you live by the things that they are living by. Y'all, it's,
A lot of them want to say, hate the sin, love the sinner.
yeah.
Well, after the sin gets so far, this doesn't say God's hating the sin in this verse.
Right.
He's hating the sinner.
Yes. Yeah. And so we see that he done what? He told Israel, I am going to drive them out. I'm going to destroy them before you. You don't do what they did or else. And this is what he said or else. We can look through all of the Tanakh, the Hebrew scriptures, or the Old Testament, whatever you want to call it, and see where God repeatedly told his people over and over and over again, don't do like they did. We look at the commandments. And he says that if you break his commandments, there will be a judgment on those that hate him or breaking the commandments, but those that do his commandments and those that love him, that he's going to show mercy and he's going to show grace. But he always tells them all through here, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he even tells them, if you hold on to these things, if you pick up these things, they're going to be a trap to you. And you're going to fall into the same type of worship and the same condition that these nations did before you. So we've all sat here and said that if God ever calls anything an abomination, it's an abomination. So here's the problem that I have with the church, a lot of the church today, a lot of the majority of Christianity, is they say those first two scriptures we read, that is wrong. That is against God. That is an abomination if two men or two women lay together. God even covered people laying with animals. And we still today say that's an abomination. That's against God's word. Is that not what we hear?
Right.
The Supreme Court rules that gay marriage is all right, and every Christian in the United States gets up in arms about it because they say that's against the word of God. God says that's wrong. You know, you could say, well, that's Old Testament. Well, Paul, the scripture we read last week, where it says that God turned these people over to this type of thinking because they did not find God worth knowing, is what the word says. So we say that these things are abomination. Paul tells us in his letters they're an abomination. And so the church gets upset about the fact that people do this. But yet, if we look back again in the Old Testament, God even covers worshiping these idols, worshiping him the same way that these nations worship him. He tells them, don't do it. Do not worship me in the same manner, in the same custom, in the same way as these other nations have worshipped their gods. Don't do it. But here's the problem. The church says that's not what it means to me. So if the church is going to say that when you point out that Christmas and Easter and Fall Festival are all part of paganism, the church says that's not what it means to me. Amen? Mm-hmm. Everybody's heard that somewhere along the way. That doesn't mean that to me. And then the other one that we will hear is, God knows my heart. You better believe God knows your heart. This same Bible that tells us these things in abomination says that God tries the reins of man's heart. He knows. He walks in the heart. He sees the secret things that we try to keep hid from him. He does know your heart. And he knows that the reason that you are tied, or that people are tied to these pagan traditions, is because in all of these pagan traditions that the church has taken on, you get on Christmas, you get gifts. On Easter, you hope to get a new set of clothes so you can wear your new set of clothes to worship Tammuz's resurrection. On Halloween or Fall Festival, you know, if you want to call it Halloween, you're hoping to go knock on your neighbor lady's door and get you a popcorn ball or one of those little orange black wrapper pieces of candy. that they got from the Dollar General they like to give you. That's what you're hoping to get on that. Or if you're a Christian and you're having fall festival, you're hoping that your neighbor's trunk has got some good candy in it because you are getting. We want to do Valentine's Day because you're getting on Valentine's Day. But my question to the church today is, if what we just read is an abomination then, and we've carried it over to today, and these other things that God called abominations, and we've carried them over today, and we've justified it, how will we stand before God? Because we can, if we're going to say that's not what it means to me, then the homosexual is justified in doing what they're doing. Because all they've got to say is, yeah, that's what it says, but that's not what it means to me. And the church has no foot to stand on. Because, yeah, because that's what the church has said for hundreds of years over these other practices that they've said that's not what it means to me. Well, that's what it is. And I've said this before. And I'm not screaming at y'all or fussing at y'all because I don't think anybody in this room tonight's got this problem. But the church at large has got the problem by simply saying that's not what it means to me. And I've said this here before, and I think I say it every week. It does not matter what it means to you. God did not ask them. He did not say to Adam and Eve when he put them in the garden and told them, you can have any fruit that you want, but don't eat from that tree. When they ate from the tree and he found them, you don't hear him asking them, did I not say don't eat from that tree? And them say, yeah, that's what you said, but that's not what it meant to us. You don't hear them saying that. Why? Because they knew that God really did not care what their opinion was of when he said, don't touch it, if that meant, he didn't put an unless or a comma or anything else after that statement. That's what he meant. So this whole thing, that's not what it means to me, don't hold any water. And as I said, if that's the leg that the church chooses to stand on, then by saying that, they have just gave every sinner a free pass to heaven in their mind. Because the Bible says, don't commit adultery. Yeshua even said, don't even think about it. Well, I can say, you do it, you get busted. Go tell your wife's lawyer and the judge that's not what it meant to me. If the sign says, do not steal, and you go and hold up a bank, and you are raised, everybody is raised knowing it's wrong to steal. Don't steal. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Little kid, you take the pack of gum from the grocery store. If your parents find out, then you take it back to the grocery store and apologize because you don't steal. Steal. And then tell the security guard or whatever at the loss prevention person, not paying for it, because I don't consider that stealing when I walk out the front door. That's not what stealing means to me. I'm not going to hold water. So it's the same thing when the church says that Yeshua, Jesus, has become our Sabbath, then guess what? If that's the case, if they're going to go with that statement, then Jesus also become the fulfiller of don't steal, don't kill, don't commit adultery, and everything else. Jesus become all that too. So when you say that, you have just taken away the whole law. You can't pick it to death. It doesn't work that way. If you begin to pick it to death, then you wind up with nothing, because what is right to Paul may not be right to me, but what's right to me might not be right to Paul. We don't get to play Monopoly, or when I was growing up, my mom had this pick and pay thing where you peeled back a piece of thing every week, or I don't remember what it was, but she took it to the store and they gave her a discount or something when I was growing up. You don't do that. So I don't know where all that came from, but anyway, I didn't plan on saying that. But in case any of them that's not what it means to me. Christians will be watching this later on. They'll turn off by now. They won't. They will not continue to watch anything else. But we have last Sabbath we began to look at Revelation 6 and the four horses. We looked at the first three. This is the scripture. It says, "Next I watched as the Lamb broke the first of the seven seals, and I heard one of the four living beings say in a thundering voice, 'Go.' And I looked, and there in front of me was a white horse. Its rider had a bow, and was given a crown, and he rode off as a conqueror to conquer. When he broke the second seal, I heard the second living being say, 'Go.' And another horse went out, a red one, and its rider was given the power to take peace away from the earth, and to make the people slaughter each other. He was given a great sword. When he broke the third seal, I heard the third living being say, 'Go.' I looked, and there in front of me was a black horse, and his rider held in his hand a pair of scales. Then I heard what sounded like a voice from among the four living beings saying, 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages, 6 pounds of barley for the same price, but don't damage the oil or the wine.' When he broke the fourth seal, I heard a voice of the fourth living being say, 'Go.' I looked, and there in front of me was a pallid, sickly-looking horse. Its rider's name was Death. The shield followed behind him. They were given authority to kill 1/4 of the world by war, by famine, by plagues, and with the wild animals of the earth." So when we looked, like I said last week, when you look and you see something in the Bible, it needs to be somewhere else. You know, two witnesses or three witnesses that kind of substantiate something. So we look at where else in the Bible does it mention 4 colored horses. In Zechariah chapter 6, it's actually Revelations 6, 1 through 8, Zechariah 6, 1 through 8, too. Zechariah says, "Again I raised my eyes and saw in front of me 4 chariots coming out from between 2 mountains. And the mountains were mountains of bronze. The first chariot had red horses, the second chariot black horses, the third chariot white horses, and the fourth chariot spotted gray horses. As I asked an angel speaking with me, 'What are these, my Lord?' The angel answered me, 'These are the 4 winds of the sky that go out after presenting themselves before the Lord of all the land.'" So this is, of course, the complete Jewish Bible is what we're using. But as I said last week, the King James has it better. I don't usually say that very often about the way they translate some things, but they have this verse here translated more correctly. In the King James it says, "The angel answered and said unto me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth." So we've looked at the spirits. These are belief systems that they're talking about. The 4 horses of the apocalypse, and we'll just briefly kind of rush through some of the stuff that we covered last week to get to tonight. But we looked here at the first one, which is the white horse, and we said that this is the Catholic Church because it was white. White is the official color of the Catholic Church. When you see the Pope in public, he's wearing white. His car is white. His helicopter is white. His plane is white, as Paul said last week, with the green stripe on it. It says that he had a bow. When we think of bow, we think of bow and arrow. In this scripture, he does not have an arrow, but it mentions a bow. So then we have to ask ourselves, is there something that the Catholic Church has that could be a bow? And we went here. We see the staff that the Pope is holding. Here another Pope is holding it. Here another Pope is holding it. Here's an etching of another one. But this is called the Bow of Nimrod, is what this is called. We looked at last week too how that the Satan worshippers say that this bent, we call this the bent crucifix, this is their sign of the mark of the beast. They call this the mark of the beast, is what they call it. So we also looked at that when the Pope holds that out, he is sending a message to other people that know what this actually is, saying, I am the one that you're looking for to lead in this oncoming society, this oncoming government. So there's your bow. It says he also had a crown. So we have to ask, does the Pope wear a crown? Okay, we talked also about from here, you see here on the bottom, the pine cone. And we looked at this. The pine cone is a symbol of paganism. It is brought from paganism. This here is a pine cone from paganism. The pine cone is known in paganism as the third eye. Is what they call. There's a part of your brain that is shaped like the pine cone, and it's supposed to give you more knowledge, more able to see more. This is the way they look at the pine cone. You ever see a pagan god holding a pine cone? Here again, another pagan god holding a staff that has a pine cone on it. And here again, another one with a staff with a pine cone. The Vatican has the world's largest pine cone in Vatican City. So then you have to ask the question, why is something supposed to be Christian dealing with the pagan symbol, especially having the world's largest pine cone? If you look here, they have lions that are a sign of Babylon, and you got this man here spitting out water that probably is not as innocent as what the bystanders think that he is. But that's at the Vatican, and the Vatican can easily say, well, yeah, we have the world's largest pine cone. Yes, it was used in pagan worship, the false gods. Yes, we have this pagan god spewing out water. Yes, we have the lions that represent Mystery Babylon. We have the peacocks that are pagan. But guess what, people? That's not what it means to me. And we got to take their word for it because, hey, that seems to be the best answer going around.
We had a customer that visited the Vatican, and she said that she and her daughter-in-law, I think, could feel the very presence of Peter with them as they stood there.
Because didn't they say that Jesus was Catholic?
Yes, Jesus was Catholic.
Yeah.
That's what she told us.
So who she's calling her Jesus, I call my devil. Yeah. But here again is just another picture of the Pope carrying that bent cross, that symbol of paganism that tells all of the world that's in the know that he has got the ability to be the leader that they're looking for. You also, if you notice, the crosses here, that's on his little thing there, on his shoulder in front of his chest. This one here also, where these crosses. These are not Christian crosses. We are made to believe they're Christian crosses, but if we look at our current, or the current Pope, not my Pope, but the current Pope also wearing these crosses, we find them here. This is Shemesh. He is a pagan sun god, and if you look here, he is wearing the very same cross that the popes are wearing. Here, he is wearing a cuff that has the sun burst on it. If we look
like
here,
eye thing in the middle.
huh?
Right above the cross, isn't that the eye thing? See where the two bead at the center of the cross?
Here,
Yes, is that the eye thing right there?
I don't see anything. I don't see anything.
If you look right where the crosses meet, There's a,
Oh, in the middle.
yeah, right there.
Oh, could be. But if we look up here, you'll see another sunburst. Here, this, Kim, is the eye that you're talking about here. Here, we have a crescent moon. And this little thing here is a crown. So you have to keep that in mind. Who wears a crown? But we're looking to see if the Catholic Church has a crown. It says he was given a crown. Well, here we have a pope. What is he wearing? He's wearing a crown. And this is not a very good picture, but here you can just barely make it out. There is a better picture. It's not on here. I forgot to put it on. But on his glove is a sun. So you ask the question here, what's the Pope doing with the sun on the glove if it doesn't mean anything? You see he's got 1, 2, 3 crowns. Here's another one. 3 crowns, and he's got a cross on top. Here's another one. 3 crowns, cross on top, those crosses here. But it does say he was given a crown, so I thought, hey, that's nice. We're giving the Pope a crown.
Oh, yeah, that one.
But we are here, seeing here, I believe this is Pope Pius, one of the Pope Piuses. He is being coronated. Now on his glove, even on his glove, you can see right here is the sun, the crown. This thing right here that he's wearing on his head, they've got a particular name for it. I can't think of it. It starts with the Z. But, and you'll see that they wear them, and Muslims wear them. Jewish people wear them. They call them yarmulkes or kippahs. But they all have the same origin. It is a sun-worshipping emblem, is what it comes from. So we see this Pope is being coronated. Their crowns were supposed to be the same hat that this guy right here is wearing. It's supposed to resemble that. That's what it means, or the imagery that they're supposed to get from it, which is kind of odd and unique because these are Christian people. So they say, but this is the sun god Mithra. And so even before, probably in the early centuries, the Pope actually wore a hat just like this. But here again, we could say that's sun worship, but that's not what it means to me. So the popes no longer wear the crown. The last 3 or 4, last 4 I believe, they decided they're not going to wear the crown, so they wear the mitre. Where does the mitre come from? Here's one with the mitre. The current is Pope Francis. Here's another one. Here's another one.
Did you ever find out about the hand signal?
No. Here's another one. And here's where it comes from. Dagon. His crown or hat that he wore looks just like the mitre. But you remember the image we looked at before that the guy had on the cross and on the cuffs. You see the cuffs here on him. And the popes wear the crown that has the 3 crowns on it. If you look here, he's got 1, 2, 3 crowns. And then here again, his comes down the back. The mitre comes down the back also. The crown comes down the back. And then here is the same God wearing the crown. Got the crowns there. Up here he's got the cross. Just like up here, there's a cross. So we see that they have the white, they have the bow, they have the crown. Here are a couple of the Pope's coat of arms that we looked at last week. There's some different ones we looked at. We still say they still, even on their coat of arms, they still have the crown. Here's one And if we're looking for any sign of sun worship, we have it right here. We have the star. We have this Babylonian lion. He's got the sunburst behind him. And of course, the T. You've got the cross here, cross here, cross here. We are caused to believe that these crosses represent the cross that Yeshua, Jesus, was crucified on, and they do. But they are glorifying not that he died and resurrected so that you and I can be saved, but these crosses represent Tammuz. So the cross, when they nailed the person to the cross, they were nailing that person to the cross as a way of showing that our God Tammuz is victorious over the person that's nailed on the cross. So while you may think, you get all fuzzy or whatever, that these are Christian crosses, they are not. They are crosses of Tammuz or Mithra. If we break it all down, what it goes to is these are symbols of Nimrod. Here you see the crosses again here. Those sun god crosses here. This here is called the papal cross. This here also is a cross of Tammuz, but the papal cross, especially where you see where the Pope is wearing it, this symbolizes his supreme authority over everybody. He is the spiritual father in his mind, and he's told this over everybody, even you and me, if we follow the Catholic traditions. So this was Pope Benedict's coat of arms. This one is the current Pope, Pope Francis. And if here again, we looked at this a little bit last Sabbath, his whole coat of arms is screaming one thing out at everybody. Sun worship. He is not serving. He is not following the same God that you and I follow. Here's your sunburst. Here's a star. Here's a pine cone. Here are the crosses again. There's another cross. We looked at this. This is actually a symbol of the Jesuit priesthood. This IHS is supposed to be the name of Jesus, but when we looked, it actually stands for Isis, Horus, and Set. Is what the IHS stands for. Am I going too fast or? Okay. So here again, we're just showing this. I was going to show you again what he has on his. Yeah. Show on his coat of arms. But here again, this will probably be our phrase for tonight. That's okay, because he can say, I understand that this all symbolizes a pagan sun god worshiping, but that's not what it means to me. Well, I would hate to say that, yes, that's exactly what that means to him. He knows what he's got. The common person on the street does not know. Your everyday Catholic you meet on the street does not know what is taking place. We looked at this calendar. This is a Wiccan calendar. Lana even told you last week that we had a former witch in the store. That witch said that this symbol right here, what they say was...
It's a symbol for Trinity, and he said if you knew where the Trinity came from, if you knew what the symbolism was there, you would run from it as far as you possibly could.
He said something about this particular, wasn't it supposed to be a powerful?
Well, I don't know about that, but he said it was just a satanic symbol.
So, oh yeah, satanic symbol. This, what you're told, represents Trinity. That's not what this represents. But if you look here, you've got Yule. Well, we call it Christmas because that makes us feel good about it. Over here is Ostera. We get really excited about Ostera. You do understand that there is a word, Acts chapter 12 and verse 4. There is a word that everybody reads once a year, and they get all excited because on this particular day, Yeshua, Jesus, resurrected on this day. And we had a list up here at one time of 30 Bible translations, 30, maybe even more than that, Bible versions. And then over here in the corner, we had one lone translation of the Bible. And this one translation, all by itself, had this word that no other, out of 30 or 40 versions of the Bible, not another one had this in it. And that was Easter. Acts 12:4 says Easter. We need to understand that Easter is not in your Bible. That word is not in your Bible. All those other ones said Pesach or Passover. That is the correct translation of that word, of that time. But we owe it to a couple of good men. One former Catholic priest. Correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but he's the one that gave us this, put the Ostera word in there in place of Passover, Martin Luther.
Martin Luther would have had Ostera because that's very similar to the German.
Right, okay.
Tyndale also used Easter because he did not understand anything about Passover.
Yeah.
And then supposedly the translators of King James were borrowing heavily from Tyndale.
Because he borrowed from Martin Luther.
So they just kind of grouped it all together.
But this is Ishtar. This is Semiramis. This is when we are told at sunrise on Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, everybody's going to get up, look toward the east, and thank the Lord that Yeshua was resurrected. I'm here to tell you tonight that if you do that, you are not thanking God that Yeshua was resurrected. If you get up in the morning on this Easter morning and you look toward the sun, there's one thing that you're worshiping. The sun. That's what you're worshiping. And so here you've got all of Christmas, Easter, Samhain.
Was the God that was over the dead. So he's what you're worshiping all on.
Yes.
I forgot that guy that was talking to us, the ex-warlock or whatever, he said in that, what you would call the Trinity symbol, all that is, and he showed us, I don't remember, it's been a while ago, but all it is, it's 3 sixes. It stands for the 666.
And then this whole calendar deals with this very thing, life, death, and rebirth. Every holiday that's on there, that's the whole thing. It is a cycle. So here we see the Pope. He is carrying the same image. You may not see it yet, but he is carrying the sunburst. Here's another one, or sun rays. Here's another one, and if you look behind him, you see Jesus hanging on the cross with the sun behind him. And this is what I'm saying, when they show him hanging on the cross, it is not because they are still all warm and fuzzy and just glorious because he died for us. It is more saying, na boo boo, see what we did to this guy that claimed to be the Savior of the world.
So do the Catholics believe that Jesus rose from the dead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know, because they constantly have him on the cross.
That goes to, what are you talking about, the papacy and the Jesuit priesthood, or the man on the street?
Yeah.
The man on the street believes Christ came, died, and was resurrected. The papacy and the Jesuits, they stopped with Tamuz had power over him and put him to death.
And that's why they keep him on the cross.
The cross is supposed to symbolize triumph over our sin. That is the payment for our sin. So it's our way to salvation.
Right. So then we talked about the white one. The second one was the red horse. Let's think, what color is red? what spirit, what belief system would be red. And when we break it down, we see communism, socialism is that red spirit. It talks about that they had power to cause people to kill each other. Here's a communist flag. It's red. Even this communist flag, you're going to see two things that are very important. You're going to see a crescent and you're going to see a star. This is not the last time that we see this. If you look at a map, it is known communist, socialist Russia is known as Red Russia. Another communist flag. China, here again, communist. Chairman Mao's got a paintbrush in his hand. What color is it? Red. He's painting China red. Communism. Chinese flag, red. And here again on this flag, what do you see? The crescent and the star. Here again in the map of communist China, it is red. And we look at a couple of authors that were Catholic authors. One was a former Jesuit priest. Both of them said, talking about one world government, who had the capability, talked about the communism, Catholicism, and our fourth one, the black horse, which talks about the price of wheat and barley, so more like a stock exchange. He said that the black horse would be capitalism. Because when you look on the internet, if you see capitalism, you're going to see this picture. Capitalism with the black background. Talked about scales. You type in capitalism on the internet, you're going to come up with this picture. Capitalism in black with scales. Time magazine, on the front of their cover, they talk about capitalism. What color is capitalism? Black. One author said that these three things have caused every conflict in the world. They had three things that it was over: the Catholic Church, communism, and capitalism. We looked at an article from Time magazine back in the 1960s, talked about two German parties, their election. One was a socialist Christian, the other were capitalist Christians. Both of them had very slim margins. They went together, formed a type of a union. And Time magazine said that there was a union of red and black, socialism and capitalism.
Also, if you are a capitalist, you want to be in the black.
Yes, not in the red. You want to be in the black. Okay, that was the first three of the four horsemen. Start with our fourth one tonight. It says, when he broke the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth living being say, go. I looked, and there in front of me was a pallid, sickly-looking horse. Its rider's name was Death, and Sheol followed behind him. They were given authority to kill 1/4 of the world by war, by famine, by plagues, and with wild animals of the earth. So we're going to say that this word here for green, the Greek word is chloros, or the word for pale. That is in most translations. The Greek word is chloros, and it means greenish, is what it means. In the New Testament, this word only shows up 3 other times. Mark 6:39. He ordered all the people to sit down in groups on the green grass. The word is chloros. Revelation 8:7. The first one sounded his shofar, and there came hail and fire mingled with blood, and it was burned up. The third, the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. Same word, chloros. Third time is Revelation 9:4. They were instructed not to harm the grass on the earth, any green plant or any tree, but only the people who did not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Here again, the word green is that chloros. So the horse, the color of the horse is not a pale color, it is a green color. So why did they translate this word chloros here when it refers to the horse as pale? Well, when you are translating, even someone who's translating from another language today, when they hear what the person, say Spanish, for example, is saying, they've got to process it in their mind, and you're not getting a word-for-word translation. You're getting the closest thing from the translator that he can come up with to convey the idea to you that the original speaker is saying. So they see chloros in grass, they see chloros in trees, but when the translator is looking in Revelation and he sees chloros horse, he's never seen a green horse. So the translators were not trying to pull the wool over our eyes or to lie to us or to hide something from us, because we know that those translators would never do that under the authority of King James. They would not purposely change or hide something from us. Huh?
Mine says pale green.
Pale, okay.
And mine is Roman Christian.
Okay. So that's the color of the horse. And they're doing away with the Roman Christian. Roman.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Is it not?
Yeah. It's very good.
So we got the green
Actually, a
horse.
lot with what women's reading on
Yeah, they're updated. Change the name of it. So when you look at green, green is the official color of Islam. Green was said to be the colors of Muhammad's tribe's flags. Was green. Also, Islam says that the green color represents life in nature. Here, represents grass. Here, they're trying
That's
to.
actually not a joke, because the word
Huh?
assassin, our word, comes from hashishin. Those who take hashish,
Oh,
they were Islamic killers.
There's a man of Muhammad's flag?
yes. His tribe's flag. So we got Newsweek talking about Islam. The cover of their magazine is green. Here's the Islamic flag. And this green that you're seeing is not the same color of the green I'm seeing, but this is the green color. And here's the Islamic flag. And looking for us, we have a crescent and a star on this Islamic flag. Here's a map of all of the countries, Islamic countries, and they are colored green on the
Why is
map.
that one so much darker green?
These are two different, they're Sunni and Shia. So this is all Sunni, these little small green areas are Shia.
What's the difference?
They hate each other.
Okay, yeah, but
I believe that they both believe that they are descended from Muhammad, but and I think that's where most of their disagreement comes from. And if I'm correct, I believe that the President of the United States, when he went into, told the military to leave, he actually put the minority in charge of the government.
So on that map there, where's Israel?
I don't know.
Right there in the center.
Right there at the end of the Mediterranean.
Yep.
Jordan.
Yeah, right
Right
there.
there.
Yeah.
Where?
There's Jerusalem right here.
Right there.
It's a beige color.
Wow.
So can you see where Israel was completely surrounded? Here's another Islamic flag. And what I want to look at in this flag is it has something peculiar. You see all these stars here? There are 12 of them. So when I saw this, it caused me to want 12 stars. 12 stars. Who else has 12 stars? Anybody know what this flag is?
Isn't it the Catholic?
This flag is the flag of, if we want to be just real, this flag represents the Holy Roman Empire. This is the flag of the European Union. And they've got 12 stars on their flag. So you've got the Islamic flag with 12 stars. You've got the European Union with 12 stars. Who else will have 12 stars? This figure, this statue that the Pope would have you believe is a statue of Mary around her head, you're going to find 12 stars. And we should, most everybody here by now that's been with us should understand that this is not Mary. This is Semiramis. Here's another one I found this other day. Interesting little figure here, little thing they put together. This is where the Catholic Church has remade the Ark of the Covenant.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
You're going to see here on the front the commandments, bowl of manna, Aaron's rod. You've got the angels here, but you have this crescent here. Do you see that? Do you have what they're going to tell you is Mary? Around Mary's head, you're going to find 12 stars. But hanging around Mary's neck, you're going to have the sun hanging around her neck. This is at a Catholic cathedral in Germany. Here we have the Pope, the current Pope, he's fixing to put a communion wafer inside this. But it's unique. If you look at what she's got hanging here, it's exactly what he's got on the back of his robe. So we're going to look at that.
That IHS that's on his back there looks like it's made out of snakes.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
It is.
It is.
We're going to see these again. I guess now, I did not see that until you brought it up. We're going to see these animals here, and you need to remember this style of cross, because we're going to see it again. But now to prove to you, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is not Mary, that this is not holy, if we look at this picture, behind Mary we see something. Do you see this?
Yeah.
This is that very same exact calendar wheel that is satanic. You have your winter solstice,
Oh my goodness.
your summer solstice down here, your spring solstice. All of this. So you've got Yule, Ostera, over here is Samhain. But you still have this cross here. But I want you to, I'm glad you did. We just, okay, where were we? Just pay close attention to what is happening here. Right here. But also something that you need to look at is, do you see this hand gesture
Oh, yeah.
that they are making? This is not Christian. The form that they're making with their hands. But now we can look at that and say that this is pagan. This is satanic, is what they are doing here. And our reply could be to us, that's not what it means to me.
That's pretty plain right there.
But we see the same, you see this? We see the same thing here at Vatican City. You see it coming down, you see it across here, and right in here. Same thing.
And the obelisk in the middle.
Yes.
Yep.
Wheel of the year, same design here. Right here. Same design. Here's a better picture. Okay, so we see that the Catholic Church has a calendar. We see that. We just looked at 3 of them.
I got a quick question. That calendar there, you know how we take on the Hebrew calendar, and we know what that means? And maybe Tom can answer it better, but I don't know what they call them, the saints or whatever, the common person that attends the Catholic Church, do they get one of these? Do they go by this thing?
I wouldn't think so.
Tom?
They get what?
This is a
One of those
pagan
calendars?
calendar.
That's a pagan calendar.
So
Yeah.
no, they wouldn't get this.
But they go by it.
They
So,
go by it, but they don't know what they're going by.
No, yeah.
So the regular Catholic person doesn't know they're following a satanic calendar.
No, they don't know why they're
Oh my
they're
God.
celebrating certain dates. It's
Yeah.
just from one certain week, like February. The second week or third week of February is Ash Wednesday, and then 40 days after that is what we call Easter, which is supposed to be Resurrection Sunday. And the times and the dates are set up.
Pentecost is.
Pentecost is 40 days after that instead of 50.
And then
Yep.
before Christmas, you have Advent. Which
Advent,
is,
which is 12
no,
days.
it's longer than that because at least a month.
The whole month is Advent.
Because you've seen the Advent calendars and all that.
Anyway,
So we're looking at not so much Catholicism tonight as we are Islam. Does Islam have a similar calendar? And the answer is yes. This is an Islamic calendar, and if you look here, you're going to see all kinds of the astrology here on this Islamic calendar. And you're going to see
Is that a fine
Concom, the stars, Islamic calendar. So then we have to ask ourselves, where did Islam come from? How was it created? Now you have to understand that this whole worship, because Islam worships the moon. So it was around just as long as sun worship was. But we're dealing with Islam, is what we're talking about. The color of Islam, the horse, green. So where did Islam come from? This place right here created Islam. They had a reason that they created Islam. They wanted this city. This is Jerusalem. The Catholic Church wanted control of Jerusalem, and the Jews were constantly bucking back against the Roman Empire. So we have to understand that Christianity at this time was growing great. True Christianity was growing, and it was taking over the empire. The Roman Empire, Roman Catholic Empire had to stop it, because they wanted to spread their doctrine. And so they found a man. His name was Muhammad. Muhammad's father, I don't know if I had this, we'll put that here. Muhammad's father was one of the governors of a place called Mecca. So his father died. The plague killed his father, killed his mother, killed his grandfather. So the children of these, I guess we're going to say, for the sake of conversation tonight, we're going to say they were the royalty, they were the upper crust of this religion. They took the children out into the desert to raise them separate because they did not want the disease to come in contact with them. So, like I said, the Catholic Church had to form up some kind of way to stop the spread of this true Christianity. There was a woman, I cannot pronounce her name, she was a wealthy woman. She gave all of her money to the Catholic Church. She went to live in a convent. She was a Muslim. They found Muhammad, and they sent her to recruit him. You know, they always want to send a woman to get a man to do whatever they want him to do. So she found Muhammad. She recruited him. She married him. She was way older than Muhammad. So Muhammad comes with her into, and I'll give you all the condensed story. Comes with her. The Catholic Church takes him. They assign him, I believe, her uncle is going to teach Muhammad everything he needs to know. Because we all know that Muhammad can't read. He's illiterate. He can't read, so they're going to tell him what he needs to know. While they are training Muhammad, they are spreading a rumor that these Muslims are awaiting a great Messiah. They are waiting for a Savior to rise up who is going to make them great and powerful. The whole time he's being taught. So her uncle goes with him, teaches him, trains him. And of course, Muhammad supposedly received a revelation in a cave. So if we look at pagan worship and stuff, all the pagan gods come out of a cave. Mithra was born in a cave. And so the Catholic Church today, when they show you a lot of times a statue of Mary, Mary is in a cave. And they know that Yeshua was born in a cave. You are told that he was born in a cave, but I have looked, and I don't see anywhere that it says he was born in a cave. He was born during the time of Sukkot. So at Sukkot, the people are staying in sukkahs. So that is not a cave. But the Catholic Church would like for you to believe that he was born in a cave. So while Muhammad is in this cave, he was supposed to have had dreams and visions, and angels are supposed to come spoke to him, and he comes up with the Quran. Now the thing about the Quran is the Quran does mention Jesus, and the Quran does mention Mary. The Catholic Church and Islam has something very much in common. They both venerate Mary. If we look, we're going to see some pictures near the end of how the Catholic Church, just how much they venerate her. We already saw that Mary is sitting on the Ark of the Covenant between the angels. Whose seat is that? God's seat. And they have given it to Mary. So just like the Catholic Church tells you that Mary was a virgin and that she had an immaculate conception, Islam says the same thing. That she had a miraculous conception. So they trained Muhammad and they sent him out and they funded him in his army on three conditions they gave him. Here are the three conditions that they gave him that they will continue to fund him. Number one, Muhammad and his army's job was to eliminate Jews and Christians, true believers, which the Catholic Church and Islam refers to as infidels. Number two, they were to protect the Augustinian monks and Roman Catholics. At this time when Islam took off, at this time they killed Christians, but they did not kill Catholic Christians. And number three, they were to conquer Jerusalem for His Holiness in the Vatican. So that was the three conditions that Muhammad had, that they would continue to support him and fund him if he done those things. So as Muhammad is doing all of this and is making wonderful progress with the fulfilling the plan that the Vatican had, and that the Holy Roman Empire desired, he had the daughter, and he names her Fatima, is what he names her. Guess what? The Catholic Church has a Fatima. Am I correct?
Yeah, Our Lady of Fatima.
Yeah. So anytime, later on in history, anytime the Roman Catholic Church needed something taken care of, and you can search this out, suddenly this Fatima would appear at a certain location. And this location would be conquered with the idea or thought that the Roman Empire had. So, as Muhammad's going along and he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, the Catholic Church then realizes something. The Muslims have taken Jerusalem, but guess what? They ain't giving it back. They're not giving it to the Catholic Church. And the way that the Pope knew there was trouble is when he heard that he was being referred to as an infidel himself. And the Muslims then began to attack the Catholics and the monasteries and the monks, but they still went to His Holiness and asked him if that they could invade Europe. And when he saw that they were wanting to invade Europe, he knew that the monster that they had created was now out of control. And so this is how the Catholic Church created Islam. So that story could appear to be a little fictitious, a little off. We're going to look at some things. We're going to see, is there any similarities? Is there any religious symbols or anything that can back up the story that I just told you? Because could we agree that Christianity and paganism should totally be separate and different? There should be nothing in Christianity, no symbol, no nothing, that was used in paganism. Correct?
Correct.
If we look here at this Dome of the Rock, if we look, they have something. We call that little pole. I mean, that pole would be a crescent moon. But if we wanted to just be real, could we not say that's a church steeple? Same thing, same imagery, same purpose. What is that declaring? They're saying this is a mosque. What does your church steeple declare? It's a church. The former church I was at, I don't know if they're still as determined, but they just had to have a steeple. Nobody knows we're a church because there's no steeple. They don't have a steeple. They got a big cross now for the church, which is the very same thing a steeple does. The same imagery. That cross is saying, hey, this is Tamas' house. But I want to show you, if it will do it, I want to show you a video that kind of shows. Okay, this is from Cairo, Egypt. So we're saying, before we get any more into this, we're saying that green is, Islam is the fourth horse. Green is that color. This is a live report a few years ago when there was trouble in Cairo. You have to watch it.
Is your sound up on anything? You said this is live?
protesters.
Yeah, this is live.
The army has now begun deploying tanks in along with protesters. The nighttime deaths add to those killed yesterday, underlying just how dangerous the demand for democracy has become.
This is state TV reporting.
Many see the increase in violence as an attempted government-backed crackdown on the pro-democracy demonstrations. Mubarak promised on Tuesday to surrender power in September to try to defuse the unprecedented challenge to his 30-year rule, but his refusal to go immediately angered protesters. Hours later, the army told the reformers to go back home as Mubarak backers throwing petrol bombs and wielding sticks gathered on the outskirts of the central square and tried to gain entry. Now the government is calling for an end to the protest before talks over constitutional change can begin. But the activists are refusing, building up to Friday's planned march on the presidential palace.
Wow.
They're going to show us again. It's a green horse and rider. Watch it go through. And it disappears.
No.
So it's live. Wow.
No.
Oh my word.
I would see that like early in the morning because it's CNN International.
Okay. So here again, the color for Islam is green. We done told you that. But here we see, here again, sun and moon worship. This is sun worship carving done. Do you see here is a crescent moon? It's got a rod here. And it's got something that fits in it. The disc. Here again, your three gods. And if you look over here, what else you have? So you got a crescent and a disc. Same thing here. The crescent and a star or sun. But you see where sun worship and moon worship come hand in hand. They work together. This is from the museum we were at in Corsfield, Ron Wyatt Museum figurine. This is Semiramis and Tammuz, but now the Catholic Church has said this is Mary and Jesus is who they say this is today. But you see the crescent and the disc. This is another pagan calendar wheel. This is called the Wheel of the Year. Carving. This is a familiar one to us. We have Nimrod over here. You've got his calendar, the sun rays, and the star. And then here's a better one, where someone's done a stamped it. You still see the same thing here, what you see. Here's a crescent moon with something sitting in it. Here you've got your sunburst and everything else here. Same thing here again, another Babylonian etching with the crescent and the rays and the star setting in it. This is called Baal Hadad. You've got your crescent, then you have the sun coming to sit inside the crescent. So we want to remember Baal Hadad. We'll see that again before we leave tonight. Here again is just an image of the crescent, the rod, and the disc. Can we see that anywhere else? Crescent and a disc right here. Okay, so there's little red marks kind of pointing out where this crescent is if you can't see it. Now remember, sun worship, moon worship. The whole object is for them to come back together. They have to have a union. We got the Pope holding up a disc. I was going to get one for all of y'all before y'all got here and forgot about it. I want everybody to have a sun disc when you went home. That's what he is holding. He will tell you that that's not a sun disc, but I would say it was. He would say that's not what it means to him. He would say that is a communion wafer. So there's one place he's going to put it, right in there. Here again, you see the crescent that the sun is going to sit down in.
So is it like supposed to be blessed or something since he's sitting in that thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
So do you see the Christianity or supposed Christianity and Islam? There should be no symbols of Islam inside the Christianity. So we could say that we're just making all of this up. There's still no real connection. Here we have the Pope holding up his host. And you see here, you've got the disc. You've got this cross of Tammuz here. What's he got here? A wheel.
The wheel in the center of
Well, we have 3 stars here. 3 stars here, 3 stars here, 3 stars here. So then we have, of course, you've got the sun rays coming out from it. You see the calendar coming down
Yep.
and across. This is almost familiar. When a priest blesses somebody, what do they do?
Make the sign of the cross.
I would not want a priest blessing me. But do we see 3 stars anywhere else? Yes, we do. And a crescent moon. See these coins? You've got the crescent moon and 3 stars. Here again, crescent moon and 3 stars. Here again, crescent moon, and a star here, star here, star here. These are ancient coins. Are these Islamic coins? No. They are Roman coins. So somewhere, Romans had to be involved in moon worship. Because here we see 3 stars and a moon. That's an Islamic flag. So how did this, if it's got nothing to do with Islam, how did it get there? There has to be a connection. Here we see another one. Does that design look familiar? We see it right there on that coin. But that's an Islamic flag. That's supposed to be a Roman coin, Christian money happening there. This is another piece of antiquity. This is a sun-worshipping piece of pottery that they found. You're going to see the stars, crescent, and the sun sitting all there together. Yeah, the cross at the top. What if Catholicism did not birth Islam? Then why is there a cross? If the cross is Christian, why is it on this pagan piece of pottery? If it is Christian, why do we have the stars of paganism on this? And why do we have the sun and the crescent on this piece of pottery if there is no connection between the two? Here we have 3 objects that you're going to always see in this type of worship: the star, the moon, and the sun. So we have to ask ourselves, do we see these emblems in Catholicism? Can we find this anywhere in the Catholic Church? Because we've all already said that paganism should have no place in Christianity. This is a coat of arms for the Archdiocese in Washington. What do we have? The crescent moon. You've got stars. This is what they're going to say is Mary. This is Semiramis.
And you've got a cross coming down with a blue in the blue at the top of the blue.
Yes. So here you've got Tammuz, Tammuz, Tammuz. And this cross that I want you to keep in your mind, this style of cross. So if we look at this, and we look at what we know so far about Islam, are they connected? If all you knew on Islam was the crescent moon and the stars, you'd have to ask yourself, if there is no connection, if the Catholic Church did not create the Islamic faith, what are they doing with this on their coat of arms? This is the coat of arms to the current Pope that we have. We've already looked at this one. Star, sun, pine cone. But we have not seen, as of yet, a pine cone anywhere else except in paganism and in the Catholic Church. But we have a pine cone here that we found in a Catholic cathedral. If you believe that's from a Catholic cathedral, I've got a piece of, I want to sell you part of the lake out there. I've got about a mile of water that belongs to me. This pine cone is on a mosque. So now we see the pine cone in Roman Catholicism. We see the pine cone in a mosque. We're going to see pine cones all over the place when we look at mosques.
How many pine trees are out there in that
I wouldn't think there'd be many pine trees out there in that desert.
desert? I don't think there is.
So in case you forgot, the pine cone in Islam, the world's largest pine cone at the Vatican. Got to be some connection. And we say that Catholicism created Islam because Catholicism was around before Islam was around. So Islam did not create the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church created Islam for the sole purpose of attaining Jerusalem. And then you see the pine cone once again here at the bottom of that cross. The pine cone again, there's another one, look at this one too, the pagan staff with the snakes that was seen on the back of his robe. They're right there, wrapped around that pine cone. So, do we see this in Catholicism? Yes, we do. Here, here. But back to looking for these three images inside the Catholic Church. This is this Pope John the 21st coat of arms. He's got 3 crescents on his coat of arms. Another Pope has a cross. He's got crescents on his arm. Now, I don't find anywhere in the Bible that it speaks about a crescent moon. So you have to, what are the crescent moons doing inside the Catholic Church? This is the coat of arms to a Catholic cardinal. Just like the current Pope's coat of arms should scream out to us sun worship and paganism, this too should shout out to us paganism. You've got the sun. You've got your crescent moon. You have here Semiramis and Tammuz, also known as Mary and Jesus. Behind the head of Jesus, you have your disc that the Catholic Church will tell you is a halo. But if we look here, you see a crown. Who is the crown above?
Mary.
Mary, the Queen of Heaven. Queen of Heaven. Queen of Heaven. Does the Bible speak of the Queen of Heaven? Yes, it does. In the book of Jeremiah.
That's right.
Jeremiah, I don't remember the chapter and verse, but couldn't write down. That was another lesson we did. But Jeremiah mentions the Queen of Heaven and how God is very displeased at Israel's worship of the Queen of Heaven.
Jeremiah 7:18.
There you go. Now, he is addressing the women, if I'm correct, in this. And here again, you know, they send a woman to con a man into something. Then when the woman gets busted, who do the women blame? They're blaming the men, the kings, the priests, and their husbands. It's who they're blaming because they are worshiping the Queen of Heaven. And it mentions they are making bread to the Queen of Heaven. What bread could that possibly be? The Catholic Church has convinced us it is hot cross buns, is what they're making, because they would make a bun and they would put a T on that bun and offer it to the Queen of Heaven. So now we've got the Queen of Heaven taken care of. Does the Bible mention Tammuz? Yes, it does. In the book of Ezekiel, he talks about the people standing in the temple. Not just your ordinary person, but the leaders, the priesthood, standing in the temple. And I believe also he talks about in their women wailing. In the book of Ezekiel, they are weeping over, and God just calls it out for what it is. He says they are worshiping Tammuz, is what they are having all the fit about. And there again, somehow think in their God is not happy with them in their worship of Tammuz in his house.
Ezekiel 8:14.
Ezekiel 8:14. Well, for some of our friends that will be watching this video, I will give for this last comment of God not being pleased with people worshiping Tammuz in his house. For one individual, I'll say, well, but yeah, that's not what it means to me. We're doing Easter. And then you have the cross of Tammuz up here above it. Okay, so that is Islamic symbols inside of the Catholic Church. Remember, Catholicism came first. Can we find any of these now supposedly Christian symbols? Well, else they would not be on these coat of arms. Can we find them inside Islam? Here we go. A coat of arms for the Arab Emirates. What do we have? Well, we have a crescent. Yeah, that's it. And here you have a sun that is going to make it. Oh, I told you find pine cones all in Islam. If you go on Google, type in pine cones in the Islamic faith or something, you're going to see also this design. So that would be a pine cone design, I take it. So we have one of supposed Christian symbols in an Islamic faith. Let's see if we can find any more. This is the coat of arms to the country of Malaysia. 61% of Malaysia is Muslim. Crescent moon. Sun or star. This is the coat of arms to the country of Turkey. Crescent, the star. Then you see these towers here. Those are unique. I think they're called minarets.
The top of them look like the hats on the coat.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
Brown.
Yep. So we saw the 3 moons on the one Pope's coat of arms. We have the 3 crescent moons here. Is on the flag. Here is his coat of arms. Once again, with the 3 crescent moons together. This is a coat of arms. I can't remember whose coat of arms this is. But you have the crescent moon star, crescent moon star, crescent moon star, crescent moon star. So here again, these are Christian symbols is what I've been led to believe. This is the coat of arms to Jordan. You have your crescent, your sun, and even down here, you say that's a star, that's another sun right there. You have 3 stars over here. So then you have to wonder, why are these Islamic countries, why are they supporting these Christian symbols when they're supposed to be so anti-Christian? This is a coat of arms for the country of Egypt. Crescent, your 3 stars, your crescent and 3 stars there. This is probably one that Paul's mentioned, this country, several times. This is the coat of arms for the Ottoman Empire. So you've got 3 crescents here on this flag. You've got a crescent with the disc sitting inside of it. You've got a crescent and a star. Down here, here, and here, you've got your calendar wheel or your sunburst. Each one has the crescent and the star. You know, green, red. This is, can we say, so we see that, do you see the stuff, the 2 in both places, the crescent and the stars in what's supposed to be Christianity, and you find the same symbols in Islam. If they don't have anything to do together, then what are they there for? Are you leaving?
Close to look. These symbols are inside their boots.
I couldn't make them out.
What it actually said.
Would we all agree these are dedicated religious women? I don't guess you get more dedicated to Catholicism if you're a female unless you become a nun. Can we see what they're wearing? Everybody see that? How they're dressed? Let's see. Can we find their apparel in any other religious system? Huh?
Oh, yeah.
This are religious Islamic women. What are they wearing?
Yep. It's rain.
We'll wait on you. Any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
When all of this came about, when the Catholic Church went into to form the Islam and all, what period was that?
600s.
Yeah. I had a pad. And I lost the pad.
The timing on it is that Jesus was crucified in 35 AD, or 31 AD, excuse me. And then Rome threw the Jews out in 70 AD. And then in 325 is when Rome started making peace with Christianity. And that's when their emperor sat down over the Council of Nicaea and agreed that these certain aspects would be the Christian church as Rome would see it. that's where we have the actual beginning of Catholicism, even though the roots of it go back to even Paul speaking of it.
Yes, yes they do.
And then Rome collapsed about 495, and the Holy Roman Empire had to pick up the slack thereafter. So from 495 to 600 is where the Catholic Church was by themselves trying to hunt down and
Right. Get rid of it.
abolish true Christianity.
And when you think of what was happening to true Christians at that time,
Yeah, they were first hunted down with the Jews by the Roman government because they saw no difference in Christianity and Judaism. And Judaism was outlawed
Yep.
after 70 AD. Well, then the Catholic Church started calling true Christians heretics
Yep.
and hunting them down and killing them.
and you know, they look at Christianity at large, looks at Emperor Constantine as a great hero because he brought Christianity and united it throughout the empire. But what you can't find many to admit is that Constantine was not a Christian. He was a polytheist. He took all of the pagan gods that the Romans worshipped, brought them into the church, and combined them and got Catholicism. That's why we say Mary is not Mary. And the Pope knows that. And your cardinals know that. And the people behind them know who it is. And we'll see a couple of other images before we're done. And we're getting close to wrapping it up for tonight. It's not who they claim them to be either. But we see the dress is similar here, and here. So in Catholicism, it's run by men. The priesthood is all male. So we have to look. Is there another? And remember too, this little beanie he's wearing is not what he's going to tell you it is. It is an observance of the sun god. But you have him here. This is a male. Islam, same thing. The religion is controlled by men, and he is wearing, I forgot what he calls his, but it's representing the very same exact thing. It's worship of a sun god. Catholics pray with beads. Who else prays with beads? Islam prays with beads. Here's the Vatican. Are you all aware that the Vatican is built on a pagan site of sun worship? Is where the Vatican is built at. But the Vatican has an obelisk. We see that here. So then we have to ask ourselves the question. This would be the separation here. Does Islam, this is also their holy site. They want you to make pilgrimages here. This is a place of pilgrimage. They want, if you're a member of the Catholic faith, they want you to come to the Vatican. If you come to the Vatican, you'll be blessed. Does Islam have a holy pilgrimage site? Yes, it does. Mecca. They want you to come to the Kaaba there. And we're not going to talk about what goes on there tonight. But it's not nice. But this is their holy site that they want you to come to. Make a pilgrimage here. If you come here, you'll be blessed. Just like the Catholic Church says. If you come to the Vatican, you'll be blessed. We look at the least the Vatican has. Does Islam have one? Because if they didn't have one, we can say, oh, we found a problem. Not the same thing. They're at Mecca. They have one at least. They're at Mecca, at their holy site. But if you look here, we looked a minute ago at another image. Do you see these? Down here and here. This is on the Vatican. Can we see anything like that in Islam? You see them here, 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 here. all over the place. Coincidence? I think not. So if you go over the Middle East, there's a strange thing that still occurs at the Middle East. This building over here is the King Abdullah Mosque, right here. This is a Catholic church across the street from the mosque. If you go to the Middle East, you'll see a mosque, a Catholic church. Neighbors. Do they have anything in common? This is the front of that Catholic church. Do you see the sun? You see the crosses? You see the T for Tammuz? Surely, this could be the dividing point between the Catholic Church and Islam. They're across the street, but if you look at the gates, you see this? Here's a better picture. You see your little sun there? You know, your sun's here on the gates. Could it be coincidence?
What about Nashville?
No, who said that? Never been. I've never looked at it.
Then they
At
could
Nashville.
find this one.
You know, because I have thought about looking to see if it was the same scenario here that it was over there. But we've looked at this papal cross. Now, look here. You see this? This cross may not could fit, but I think that cross would. If you were to put that in that structure. This is Lexar Temple. This was a pagan sun-worshipping temple. Okay? This is in Lebanon. Here's the front of it. Here again you see the obelisk. You see the pagan gods there. You see what is inside the structure? The mosque. It's not beside this temple. It is inside the ruins of this pagan temple. The same stuff that takes place at Mecca during their pilgrimages and that they're at the Kaaba, the same type of stuff took place inside this temple. But you've got a mosque sitting in. So if Islam has nothing to do with sun worship as the Catholic Church does, what is it doing inside of this temple? Here, this is a temple that was built to Baal. So if we go beside this temple,
It's a lot like the Greek Parthenon starting to say.
the Greek Parthenon was built for the same type of worship. But if we go beside it, we'll see there is a monastery beside the same grounds as this temple. So you've got Islam that builds their mosques inside pagan temples, and the Catholic Church does practically the same thing right beside a sun-worshipping pagan site. If they have nothing to do together, why is Yasser Arafat, how would Islam say it, Muslims say it, blessed be his name, whatever, why is he kissing the Pope's ring if they've got nothing to do together? Why is he submitting himself if the Pope is not his authority? Just respect, right?
Nope. He should have been.
So he is kissing the Pope's ring. What's on the Pope's ring? This image is on the Pope's ring. So why would? Because we all know that's Peter, correct?
Yeah,
Oh.
he's the father of the First
This
Pope.
is Peter. They refer to Peter as the fisherman,
The fisherman.
but this is not Peter.
That's,
He could be the sorcerer. He's also known as Jupiter. Jupiter, another name for Jupiter, would be Nimrod. So why would you have a devout Islamist kissing the ring with an image of Jupiter on it if he was not worshiping the very same God that the Catholic Church is and the Pope? Why would you have him submitting himself to the authority of a religious leader when they are at odds together? Could it be the same reason that our current president was the only president that I know that would go to an Islamic nation and bow to Islamic rulers? If they were not of the same faith. Islam has an all-seeing eye. Do we find an all-seeing eye in Catholicism? Because surely, to goodness, this could be a dividing point between Islam and the Catholic Church. If we can't find an all-seeing eye in the Catholic Church, we can all say, well, Scott was wrong. It doesn't pan out. They're not worshiping the same thing. The church did not create Islam. And here is a Catholic cardinal. And behind him, what do we see? All-seeing eye inside the Catholic Church. Here's another one inside a Catholic Church in a triangle. But if we look, this triangle is making a different shape at the same time. If we were to take a line, run it across here, down here, and down here, they would be interlocking triangles. Here's one that when we were in Mobile, this is at the Greek Orthodox, which is Catholicism, Greek Orthodox, left, separated from Catholicism because they could not agree on what date Tammuz was born on. They argued when Christmas should be followed. So the Orthodox left the Roman Catholic Church. Since then, the Orthodox Church has come back and bowed in submission to the Catholic Church and said, we're sorry. And now they have placed themselves back under the authority of the Catholic Church. No, but we see this on our dollars.
Yep.
The all-seeing eye. Down here on the bottom, everybody gets all excited. Novus Ordo Seclorum. Everybody gets a little jittery when you bring that out. That says New World Order. Is what that says on the bottom of there. But I never hardly hear anybody mention what the top says.
You give us all $1?
No, what do I do with that dollar? I got curious as to what the top says. Anybody know what the top says? Before we say that, you see the all-seeing eye.
Mm-hmm.
You see
It's
this
the sun,
starburst.
and
Here it says New World Order. This top
Sitting on
says,
a crescent.
And it's
The
written on the crescent.
it is, isn't it? Boy, y'all picking up quick. So this is all satanic.
Mm-hmm.
The top says, favor our undertakings.
Oh my.
What are they wanting to undertake? What are they wanting to accomplish?
But it says, in God we trust.
We had this conversation today.
And you never answered my question.
I said the same God they're saying in God we trust is not the same God that we worship. We should see that by now. The God that I worship told me that this is an abomination to him.
Mm-hmm.
The God that I worship says, do not worship me in the same manner that these people that I'm driving out before you worship their gods. Don't pick it up. Don't be envious. Did we not read the scripture before we started? Don't be even envious of it. But you have to think, this is for, maybe a later conversation. What are they hoping to undertake?
The rest of the statement. You will go.
Yep. But do we see this anywhere else besides on our money?
So the Roman numerals are on the bottom of the pyramid, 1776. We claim that as the inception date of the U.S., but it's also the inception date of the Illuminati.
So what you're saying is we have here a Roman Catholic image, an Islamic image, on our money. We have here Latin, which just happens to be the language of the Holy Church. And we have a crescent. And we have sunburst.
Did you know? I'm sorry. Did you know there's an owl on the dollar bill as well? And the owl is a satanic symbol. It is a. I just looked it up, and it's like the. Should have kept it up though. It's for a goddess. I just looked it up because I was questioning since we're going this far. Demon goddess Lilith is represented throughout history as an owl. And the owl is in one of the corners of the dollar bill. You see your dollar bill for a minute.
So we have to ask the question, do we see this all-seeing eye anywhere else? Yeah.
It's right there.
Does this not look familiar? The triangle of the eye,
Masons,
Yeah.
Masons. You see it here, and you see it there.
What did you say that meant on top of the dollar bill, the writing?
Favor our undertakings. And if we look at the compass and the ruler, it forms a star, interlocking star. So now we have Islam with an all-seeing eye, the Catholic Church with an all-seeing eye, Masons have an all-seeing eye, and here we see another all-seeing eye. But this causes us a problem. This is Jewish. And you have an all-seeing eye. If we wanted to be technical, we have a crescent. If we wanted to be technical, you've got 3 stars here, here, and here. So the Jewish, you got Islam, the Catholic Church, and Judaism. All 3 have an all-seeing eye. Now, Linus, I need to be very explain this. The Judaism that's here is not Judaism that Yeshua practiced. This is called Kabbalah. This is satanic. It's occultish. It's not the same thing. But you do have the all-seeing eye. So we see here an ancient etching from Babylon. See a goddess of sun, an all-seeing eye, and then this is the individual, but he has a bow. Anybody want to take a guess who this is? Nimrod. Here, we look at the stars. This is in the Catholic Church in Mobile, or the Orthodox Church. I saw this walking out. This is a Star of David. I have to ask myself a question. What's the Star of David doing in the Catholic Church? In a painting. So Star of David, Star of David. Do we all agree? Which one is which?
One goes under, one goes over.
But I've got a ring at the house that's got this one over here. And they sold it to him. He said it was a Star of David. I'm told this is a Star of David. Is it not identical to this? But we see here, the Pope has a star on his mitre. Let me turn to Acts chapter 12 and verse 4. We got to hurry. You not going anywhere?
We're here all night.
Got till it's over, don't you? That's not the right scripture I'm looking for. Acts chapter 7. That's what I'm looking for. In verse 43. Start at verse 42. Start at verse 41.
Let's start at
You
first.
sure?
Start at verse 40. 39. We're going to start at verse 39. 39, last call. It says, but our fathers did not want to obey him, speaking of Yahweh, God. On the contrary, they rejected him in their hearts and turned to Egypt, saying to Aaron, make us some gods to lead us, because this Moshe, who led us out of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him. So what he's talking about, the golden calf.
Right.
So it wanted, here's a good example, but that's not what it means to us. They made the golden calf. Aaron says it just popped out of the fire, and this is it. But Aaron told the people, this is your Elohim. So they worshipped it because Aaron said it's their Elohim. What did God do to them people that worshipped that golden calf? Killed every one of them. Because they worshipped the golden calf, except the Levites and Aaron, because Aaron stood with Moses. So we got that. So they could have told God, that's not what it means to me, but God did not care to hear their excuses. That was when they made an idol in the shape of a calf and offered a sacrifice to it and held a celebration in honor of what they had made with their own hands. So God turned away from them and gave them over to worship the stars. So you got Israel worshiping the stars. As had been written in the book of the prophets, people of Israel, it was not to me that you offered slaughtered animals and sacrifices for 40 years in the wilderness. No, you carried the tent of Molech and the star of your god Remphan, the idols you made, so you could worship them. Therefore I will send you into exile beyond Babylon. So this star is the star of Remphan. 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 David did not have a star. Nowhere in the Bible will you find the Star of David. There are those that support the Star of David that say it was his shield, that it was the first letter of the Dalits combined together. Stephen says it was a Star of Remphan. So let's look here. Can we see the stars of David here? Anybody see the Star of David? Can y'all see them? If you don't see them very well, right here, Star of David. Then you see them here, like right in here, the Star of David. If you look over here, you see crosses. Anybody see crosses? So at this Catholic church, we see the Star of David and crosses. The flag of Palestine, 1939. What is it? Star of Remphan. Blue and white. Is there another flag that's blue and white that has a star on it? Did you know that the first time the Jews were given this star, do you know who gave it to them?
Hitler.
No. Way before Hitler. It was a decree by, I believe, a king of Spain. Told some people, these people need an emblem. King of Spain told Jesuit priest to give the Jewish people an emblem, and the priest gave them the star, is what the priest gave them. Do you think the priest knew what they were doing when they gave Israel or the Jewish people what the church calls the Star of David? So this Catholic church that we said we were at is not a Catholic church. It is an Islamic mosque that has all over it the Star of David. It's a special mosque. But do you remember last Sabbath I told you, we looked at this and I said, remember this image, because you're going to see it again. Do you see that image? Here, here, here. This is a mosque, not a Catholic church. It is the Dome of the Rock that sits on the Temple Mount. Is where all those images are from. Coincidence that the Pope has on his mitre the same image that rests here on the mosque, the Dome of the Rock.
So the Jewish people, like I guess Orthodox Jews or whoever's over in Israel, do they use the Star of David unknowingly, or?
I don't know. But here again, that could still fall into their Kabbalah. The Star of David is actually a Zionist emblem. They're not religious. They are political. So we got the Star of David. Islam calls it the Seal of Solomon, is what Islam calls that star. And this is the Seal of Solomon. We've seen this image in Catholicism, have we not? You see the snake or the lizard or the dragon?
That's directly.
Yeah.
The snake eating his own tail.
Cross, crown, and star.
Is that crown 3 words?
Yes.
Yep.
Here is a coin, or this is not a coin. This is Pope Gregory the 13th. This is his medal that he awarded to people. You see it? Green in his tail. You see the crescent? If you look here, it's a star. Islamic images, Catholicism product, Catholic product.
What's the circular with the bottom of the beard there on the spot?
This,
Yeah.
you can't make it out.
So that's supposed to be a ram or a goat.
And he's got images here too. This is a bird. I would say ram.
Twisted hand.
So this is the Order of Lucifer. This is the official seal of light. This is a Luciferian image, satanic. This is, you've got the Pope. This is what's behind him. You see the star, the all-seeing eye, the crosses that I told you that we would see again. They're here, 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 here. Paganism. Here again, the Catholic Islamic connection. We would say that this is a mosque until I show you the whole picture. It is a Catholic cathedral in Germany. Crescent. Then you have the cross that has the rays coming out from it. You got your little designs here. Back to this image again. with Mary sitting. You see how this is headed towards sitting down in here. We talked about the Queen of Heaven. This is what this painting is called, the Queen of Heaven. This is supposedly Jesus crowning Mary. We have Tammuz and Semiramis. Of course, you've got the disc, sunburst behind them. Here's another image. You've got Jesus crowning Mary with the crown of thorns. But this is a Roman Catholic painting. But look who's got the nail scars in their hands. Mary. They shifted from him to her. The Catholics prayed to Mary. She is their ticket out. Not him, her. Here's another one, same type of thing. But this one, you see the sun rays coming up from behind her head. You see the nail scars, the crown over here. You see these little fellas here. Got the cute little wings. When we looked at Mystery Babylon the first time, this is Nimrod. This is Tammuz and Semiramis. I told you to remember Baal Hadad, because this image is the sun setting down into the crescent. The crescent here again being Islam, the sun being Catholicism. Do we see it anywhere else? This is ancient. This is not new. This is ancient. This is a Roman Catholic church in Germany. This is the clock. If you look at the ends of the clock, you see a star and a crescent moon. So at 12 o'clock, you would have Baal Hadad. Every time that these two come together, you would have Baal Hadad, and that would be where they come together in union and produce. This is on a Roman Catholic church. Why would it be there if there's nothing to do one with the other? So, yeah. So this is where we're at. Islam and Catholicism, the sun and the moon have to come together. And Mystery Babylon, Nimrod is the sun. Semiramis, when she died, she became the moon. The name Allah in Islam is another name for Baal. So that is the last slide here. There is more, so this will carry over into next Sabbath, because we have not looked inside of a Catholic cathedral and an Islamic mosque to see if there's still any more connections where we can say that the two are tied together. Comments or questions?
I found it interesting.